Maybe it's more like 8,200. Objection hearsay. Oh, get a lot of objection hearsay. Get a lot of objection.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to round 4 here of the Sim Nation India tournament that we currently have going on. It's really a tournament competition challenge. It's a mix of many things. I think challenge is probably the correct term to use it because it's been challenging each and every week we've been racing so far. We're glad that you're joining us here for the 4th round of this incredible series that we're running here at the moment. It's been really exciting, to be honest. You know, we started on tarmac 3 weeks ago, where we raced around Bathurst here in Gran Turismo 4 with the Nissan Nismo GTR. Then the second round we went to dirt. Third round we went drag racing around one of the most bizarre circuits in Gran Turismo 7. And of course, well, the game doesn't have drag racing, so we did it ourselves, which was interesting to say the least. A little confusing at times, but we got it going, and it was quite exciting as there was basically unlimited tuning to the cars. The Lamborghini Aventador was the most popular, but it was great to see what the entire Sim Nation India drivers did to their cars to ensure that they would be the fastest out there on the drag strip. Now, this weekend we have another challenge, and that is, well, on the tarmac once again here, but around the Circuit de Catalunya. This one is probably more fitting for next week, if I'm honest, because of course it's the same week. It will be the same weekend as the Spanish Grand Prix that will be held on the exact same circuit. For jumping from real life racing to sim racing, that would be a really, really cool coincidence. But no, we're going to do it 1 week early here around the Circuit de Catalunya. And of course, well, this might seem ordinary, you know, it might just seem like an ordinary race that we're running here. Quite the opposite. We will be running the same car. Everyone will be driving an A45 AMG, a 2013 model, as you're seeing on your screen right now. My PS5 decided to want to have a sleep before we started. It wants to have a break earlier than expected. So all the cars are identical. However, the drivers will be allowed to tune their car as much as possible. So balance of performance is off. No nitrous oxide, so no NOS at all. However, the drivers are allowed to tune to their heart's content. So this is going to go down to who has the best tune. But is it? Because it's not just about who has the best tune, it's also about the team that has the best tune. Because there will be teams here. We'll have no less than 5 different teams. So we'll have a total of 10 drivers here today, hopefully. And of course, they'll be set up into teams of 2, that is, and they'll have to work together for this. Race points, of course, are applicable. It will be an interesting one because from the notes that I've been given here, it will be a dance between quickest tune and strategy, because again, tuning is only 50% of this whole thing. See, I told you it is not as basic as we did the first round, because things here are going to get very interesting. There's a possibilities of up to 2 pit stops per driver in this race, which will make things very interesting. So strategy is key. Now, the good thing is we don't have to think about the weather like we did earlier on today during the live F1 race at Monaco, where the rain started to pour. So there won't be any new use for the wet tyres. So we'll just stay on these slick rubbers that we'll be using throughout the race. There are actually 3 tyre compounds that we can use here. We've got the hard, the medium, and of course the soft. All of them racing tyres. Of course, the other challenge that we've already discussed here is that you'll have a teammate now in this race. So that means you've got 2 driver combinations. Now, they won't be taking driver duties over from one another. They won't be sharing the car. They will be racing as a team, and it'll be down to them to have the sort of best strategy between the 2 teammates. Of course, and they both got to work together as well with the ideal setup, the strategy, or if they decide to go, one maybe have a longer stint on the soft tyres and one will go on a shorter stint on the hards, or vice versa, or one will just do the entire race on the mediums. There is no limit to it. I mean, maybe if you do the whole race on mediums, a little bit of a challenge there because those tyres will fall off eventually, especially when we've got ×8 on the tyres, which means the tyres will wear 8 times as fast as they would usually. So they're going to go pretty fast. The fuel is also on ×3, so it will drain a lot faster as well. So we'll keep an eye on the fuel gauges and the tyres here. We're just looking at Hershey's 20. There seems to be, apologies for that, my microphone also wanted to get a clearer picture as well. It looks like, so we look at Hershey's 20, there's a lot of load on that left front end of the car, because that's the tyre that has the most amount of wear so far. So into the braking zone here, it's a long-ish right-hander here, but a lot of weight there on that left hand, really wearing that tyre down through that corner goes Hershey's 20. But how it'll work here, we'll have a 10-minute qualifying session, which is scheduled to start around, well, in a few more minutes we'll get started, and then of course we'll have a 30-minute race. Tyre and fuel during qualifying will be set to just 1, or times 1 even, so all wear and the fuel will go down normally, as it would in a normal road going car in a normal race that you're having here in Gran Turismo. But in the race itself will be 30 minutes long, and it will be set to 8 times tyre degradation, times 3 fuel load going down essentially, and of course 5 times for the time. But interesting for the time, it will be sunny with some alpine mist for some ambience here to make things a little bit more interesting around the Circuit de Catalunya. Now of course the fuel is not the only thing that'll be going down rapidly. The refueling time goes up rapidly, and of course there is mandatory compounds that need to be used during the 1 or 2 pit stops that the team decide to use. Now, I've not got any insight of the strategies that will be used. Of course, the teams won't tell me this because I'll blab it out on the stream, and then of course the team's strategy will be thrown completely out the window, so they've kept it all to themselves here. So along the way, we'll see if we can figure out what the teams are doing here. Will we have some teams that will share strategy between the 2 drivers? Will we have one, as we said before, that will go shorter stints compared to longer stints and vice versa? Or will we have some that just, flat out as far as they go? Or will they change up the strategy? Now, of course, weather isn't a factor here. That's not going to play into the hands of the drivers here whatsoever. So that's not something they can think about here. They just have to think of the strategy on road. It would be interesting, though, if we have flags involved here. Would that throw the strategy up around? Well, I don't. I think that would definitely throw the strategies in and out of the window where they would be. But now we've discussed that, why don't we see who the teams are here? So Team A will be the Ancient Played and Vidvia. Those two will be in one team. Supervida, who returns from the first round, we haven't seen him in round 2 or round 3, has returned with Bukaran, who was with us in rounds 2 and 3. He will be; those two will be in the B team. Race 4 Gaming and the Wildest Monk will be Team C, with Cheesy and Hershey's 20 in the D team. Akavi and Phantom Shadow 07, or the Dirt Master as we'll call him, will be in Team E. And unfortunately, Zolo 51 and Fun Anywhere not here with us here this weekend. They would have been Team F. So we have 5 teams, 10 drivers, and qualifying has just begun here at the Circuit de Catalunya. So we have a couple of drivers that are working their way out. We have drivers that are already out on track, and you can see there the Ancient Players picked up a penalty. It looks like the Wildest Monk is carrying, or Arcavia is carrying the Red Bull livery, hoping to draw some of that inspiration from Max Verstappen. And now, well, the session is reset, so that means we are going qualifying now officially. So during qualifying, the settings are slightly different to what they are than they would usually be, because of course in the race we'll be doing times 8 fuel, times 3 tyres, and times 5 time. But in the race we'll do tyres and fuels, well, they'll be normal, won't they? We're not going to do the enhanced version where they'll just drain rapidly. No, they will be set to times 1. Yes, there we go. We've got the roaming camera. So all 10 drivers now will work their way onto the Spanish track here, Circuit de Catalunya. All of them in the Mercedes-Benz A45 AMG. It's the 2013 model. I think it was the first year that car actually came out. A fantastic looking car, especially when it's fitted with a massive spoiler at the back of the car as well. There seems to be a lot of drivers have decided to have the smaller, more race tuned spoiler for this race. Speaking of tuning, remember tuning is acceptable for all the drivers here. They can tune to their heart's content. Of course, I think the ones that have the really good tunes, they might be sharing with their teammates if they are playing the team game. I do hope they are. It looks like a couple of people picking up penalties here and there. Someone was off as well, off there to the right hand side in the gravel. Good to get the trips into the gravel over and done with during practice and qualifying, not during the race, especially you want to do it on that opening lap as well, although you don't want to ruin your tyres too much. So Hershey's 20 there, picked up a penalty and is forced to slow down during qualifying. Here's Phantom Shadow 07. If anyone knows how to deal with going off the tarmac, is this man right here. He, of course, will be, well, his teammate is the Agave driven, well, the Red Bull as well, isn't it? Because, of course, those two in the team. So they've got nice matching liveries. The Wildest Monk, who we've said before, he will be sharing his pit garage with Race 4 Gaming this weekend. So we'll see how these two work together. The Wildest Monk was pretty much on it through the last 2 rounds, but just couldn't quite catch Phantom Shadow in the dirt. And also during the drag racing session that we had as well, just didn't fare the way that he wanted it to at all. You just see all that pressure the car gets put on the front straights. That's absolutely incredible. And they're heavy into that braking zone. I just look at the Wildest Monk's car. It does actually look like the front end is a lot lower to the ground than the back end. There seems to be a lot of gap there towards the back of the car. Let's have a look at Agvia if he has a similar setup. Is that car sitting that much higher off the road at the back? No, it's sitting a lot lower by the looks of it. So a very interesting setup there that the Wildest Monk is running. It certainly does look like it's lower to the ground at the front and higher off the back. Book around there in... well, I'm not going to say it's a standard livery. He's not just gone to the paint shop and had, oh, well, it's fine, I'll just take it in red. He's actually added some bronze alloys as well, which makes the car stand out. Of course, he'll be racing this weekend with Super Vidu, who returns to the series. Again, we haven't seen him since the first round. Hershey's 20. I do like the livery that this team has here. Very, very eye-catching. Looks absolutely fantastic. It's not too over the top. I also love the back end of the car as well. Of course, Hershey's 20 and Cheesy will be in the same team. Here is the Ancient Pleb. His teammate, of course, Vidvia, who's a little bit further back in this train, but the first laps are now starting to come in. The Wildest Monk goes quickest of all so far with a 140. Make that the Ancient Pleb is now the fastest of all with a 145.69 here, as well, 4 minutes successfully elapsed now in the session. So let's see in the last 6 minutes what the rest of the field here can do. Here is the current pole sitter, the Ancient Pleb. He'll be sharing driving duties, or the garage essentially, excuse me, with Vidvia, who currently is 6th overall, so teammate a little bit further back at the moment. We'll be doing much help for him currently. So the gap between the front row at the moment, 0.6 of a second between the Ancient Pleb and the Wildest Monk. Now that's not going to help his next lap there, will that, for the Ancient Pleb. Wildest Monk a little bit further back. Actually, no, he's not. He's further up the field, isn't he? Yes, he is. Because, of course, he's in the third and final sector now as he works his way through the right-hander. Less traffic to deal with than the Ancient Pleb, but is he faster on this lap? Let's wait and see as he comes through the right-hander now. Remember, there's no chicane here, so it's just a straight line there. Into the pit lane, though, comes the Wildest Monk. I wonder if he's going to change tyres then. So let's go down then with Race 4 Gaming, who's currently in third. Let's see if there's an improvement. There's often there's Bukaran that's gone off through the final corner, just getting to grips with things here. No improvement from Race 4. The Ancient Pleb is also into the pit lane. And there he is. And where is the Ancient Pleb, though, in all this? Pit stop done. No one yet has capitalised. No one has gotten closer to the Ancient Pleb either, because, of course, the second fastest driver was the Wildest Monk. He went into the pit lane as well, although Race 4 Gaming now quickest of all through that first sector. What can he do now through Sector 2? Currently on the second row of the grid in third for the time being. We still have less than 4 minutes remaining on the clock, so there's plenty of time to get at least a lap or two in here. This is going to be a faster though for Race 4 Gaming. Currently sat in third position, 1/8 of a second back from the race leader, or the session leader, excuse me. A pole sitter, provisionally. As he works his way now through the second sector. And he loses 1/10 of a second, and he picks up a 5/10 of a second penalty as well. So he's going to have to slow down. So unfortunately, this is not going to be a good lap for him. So the ancient player of the Wildest Monk have gone out. And now I wonder if they've decided to change tyres. Well, they're on the softs now. Both of them are. The ancient player has been told to slow down. And he has done so. So he's still the pole sitter for the time being. As he works his way through. With Via, no improvement at 1:42 as he comes across the line that time round. Of course, he is the teammate to this man right here, the ancient pleb. Of course, the ancient player will want his teammate to be starting a little bit further up the road. Hershey's 20 there at 1:41, but Cheesy's moved up with a 1:43, 1:22. That moves him up into 7th position overall. No improvement there at 1:54, 5:31 for the ancient pleb. That was so that was his out lap, his second out lap. As he's gone onto the softs now. Lots of grip to the softs, but the softs just fall up a lot faster compared to the other tyre compounds. 3/10 of a second faster through sector 1. Currently is the pole sitter. Phantom Shadow's gone into the pit lane. I don't think he'll have enough time to come out for another lap though, unless he has a wickedly fast pit stop. So ancient pleb through now into sector 2. What can he do this time? Will he go quick again? He was up already through the first sector. Will he go higher this time round? Through the right-hander. At the halfway point of the track here. And he'll enter into sector 2. Let's see if he's purple, red or green. He's purple again. 2/10 of a second quicker through the second sector. For the ancient pleb. I think he's going to improve on his time as well. He's going to stretch his legs a little bit more. But what can he do about the Wildest Monk? As where is the Wildest Monk at the moment? Well, he is ahead of him for the time being. He's working his way down now through the penultimate corner. Remember, one of the other drivers that was in the pit lane early as well. Hershey's 20 does a 1:41.846, puts him in 5th position overall. The Wildest Monk does not improve, 2.6 seconds there. The ancient player 1:40.313 that time round, and adds more time between himself and the Wildest Monk with just over, or better yet, under 30 seconds remaining on the clock. What can the Wildest Monk do here? Can he gain some time through sector 1? I presume that massive loss of time during that previous lap was due to all the traffic in front of him. As while the ancient pleb goes into the pit lane, the Wildest Monk there, a personal best but not a session best. He needs to really claw back some time here. Needs to hit those apexes the best he can as the ancient pleb currently in the pit lane. This is the final lap now for the driver, so then the ancient player has set himself up for a pole position here. But what can the Wildest Monk do this time round? So pretty wide there through the corner. That's going to lose him some time, and he's coming to the pit lane. So it looks like he's aborted that lap. I think he knew that he wouldn't be able to catch the ancient player. Well, Agvia thinks he has what it takes to take on the ancient player, to see if he can take that pole position away. Now through the penultimate corner now. He's got a good run through that penultimate corner now into the final corner here for the final time in this qualifying session. What can he do? Can he improve? And he does to the second row of the grid. Gains 6/10 of a second that time round. We still have Bukaran as well out there. Let's see what he can do. He's not yet set a lap time in by the looks of it. Oh no, he has. Just showing him that far back from Super Vidu. Unfortunately, it won't be near the sharp end of the field, or will it be? As he's across the line now with a 1:43 that puts him 9th fastest overall. So an improvement there right at the end to put himself on that 5th row of the grid. But it will be the Ancient Pleb followed by the Wildest Monk. Those two will share the front row of the grid with Race 4 Gaming alongside Akavia for company. Phantom Shadow and Hershey's 20 will share the 3rd row of the grid with Vidvia and Cheesy sharing the 4th row of the grid, and then at the back will be Super Vidu and Bukaran on the 5th row of the grid, with Bukaran being ahead of Super Vidu. And that is how they will line up. Now, do we have any teammates starting alongside each other? Well, the grid is now being formed. The drivers will be put on the hard tyre here to start the race. And, well, there you go. There is the qualifying results. The Ancient Player of the Wildest Monk on the front row of the grid with Race 4 Gaming and Arkvia alongside for company. 1/8 of a second was the gap between our top two. And then it was 1.1 seconds back to 3rd position overall. Akvia was only about 1/10 of a second back from Race 4 Gaming. He had just enough. If he had a little bit more left on the clock, he may have been able to do something about that and put himself in that 3rd position instead of starting in 4th. Now, it doesn't look like we have any of the teams actually sharing rows anywhere looking at the liveries. Oh, Bukaran and Super Vidu actually look like they are sharing the same row. Let's just double check that they are in the same team. And indeed they are. So row number 5 will be shared by the teammates. And well, yes, they will line up alongside each other in 5th on the 5th row of the grid. So we'll be starting the race soon. Oh, I've got some team names here, so that'll make things a little bit easier as well. We can go through that. Oh, we've got some points as well, which is even better because we can see who the current standings are as well while we're waiting for the race to begin. Let's rotate the screen because that will make things a lot easier. Never mind, it will not. So the current leader in the Mille driver points classification with a total of 98 points is Phantom Shadow 07. He is part of Team Horn OK Please. Interesting team name. Of course, he bagged a lot of points in the second round, where he basically claimed the top step of the podium in the dirt race. And it looks like we're going racing here for the first and only time today. Will be a 30-minute race. Down through turn 1 we go. It looked relatively clean, but there were a lot of drivers who were being pushed out wide. And let's see if that's shaken up the order, because Akvia is all the way up into 2nd position already. So that means there has been a big shake-up at the very start of this race. Let's get some data up on the screen so we can see who is where. So the Wildest Monk leads by 1/6 of a second. RKV is in 2nd position at the moment, but that makes it a change there actually, because Race 4 Gaming is there, and he's up now behind the Wildest Monk by 7/10 of a second. We've got a scrap here for 3rd as well. And actually, RKV is battling it out with both Race 4 Gaming and Hershey's 20 for the time being. They're battling it out for 2nd position. This, of course, will be a 30-minute run here. There will be pit stops. I'm not saying they're mandatory. They can go all the way to the end if they so think they can do. But, of course, the drivers will come in for at least 1 pit stop at some point because, well, tyre wear is on, and it is quite significant. You can see there the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you've got the little indicators for the tyres. The red is how much of the tyre has been that is degraded already. The white is obviously how much tyre has not been degraded. And you can see we haven't even done a full lap of the race, and people are already losing grip on their tyres. It looks like Race 4 has started on the soft. I think the race leader started on the hards, and you can see that the degradation between the hards and the soft, well, there is a difference, not a significant difference, but it is a difference nonetheless. The soft will definitely fall off faster than the hards. Interesting choice there for the Wildest Monk to start on the hards. I think we'll see him on the softs at a later stage. Here comes the battle, though, for the lead of the race down towards the first corner here on the 2nd lap of the race. We've got a dive to the inside there from RKV. doesn't quite make it on Hershey's 20, but looked for a way on the inside. But he's picked up a penalty of 1 second as Rays is all over the back there of the Wildest Monk, trying to force an error out of him. So they go through the right-hander now for the second time. 1/10 of a second is the gap up front between these two. And they've been squabbling since the get-go as well. Hershey's 20, though, wants to be a part of this action as well. He'd like to be on the top step of the podium and leading the field in the very early stages of the race. The race certainly can't be won on the first 2 laps, but it can certainly be lost on the first 2 laps as well, as Hershey's 20 sniffs an opportunity on the inside. Can't make it through, but sees another one. But Grace shuts the door on him. And that keeps the bay for the time being. RKV again on the inside as wide goes Hershey's 20. And that gives the position. Oh, is that Bukaran that snuck in on the inside as well? Where has Bukaran come from? Because he's come from the back of the grid. He's shown his 5th position at the moment. What an opening lap there. Or 2, better yet, for Bukaran as Race 4 Gaming on the inside. He takes the lead away. Does the Wildest Monk fight back? He does indeed. Looks for an opportunity on the inside. But Ray's now the race leader. Nice clean move there on the inside. The Wildest Monk running wide. RKV there lurking in 3rd position. Let's go a little bit further back, or let's just wait here until we go into the first corner here for the 3rd time. As Race 4 Gaming goes all the way to the right-hand side of the track, and the Wildest Monk's going to go the long way round. And doesn't quite make it through there. The Ancient Pleb was the quickest around that time with a 1:43.881. Let's go a little bit further down the field. Outside the top 3 as the Ancient Pleb has a penalty that he needs to slow down, or that'll be automatically applied. And it looks like we've got a great fight here for 4th position. We've got Hershey's 20, the Ancient Pleb, Bukaran from the back of the grid, Vidvia, Super Vido as well from the tail end of the field as well. As that is the battle for the best of the rest at the moment. Sumavidu and Vidvia, they're battling at the tail end of this. But here comes Hershey's 20 on the inside of the Ancient Pleb. The Ancient Pleb there slowing down. He's got to get rid of that penalty before the end of the race, or he will pick it up at the end. You don't want that to happen. Hershey's 20 now has a penalty as well, and you can see there's a mandatory slowdown as well. The yellow markers there forced the driver to slow down, although it hasn't forced Hershey's 20 to slow down. He definitely didn't pick it up after those markers, and he still has that penalty above his head. Bukaran there also has the penalty looming over his head. Now, this has been a very incident for a packed race already. We haven't even finished the 4th lap of the race. Super Vido, though, nice and clean from the back of the grid, up in a 7th position. Currently tucked up behind his teammate, Vidvia in 7th. Hershey's 20 has gone into the pit lane already. There's Cheesy at the tail end of the field, but Hershey's 20 in the pit lane. Now, what is he putting on? Look how much degradation there is on the left-hand side. The left front, that was the tyre we were keeping an eye on through qualifying. And it seems to be that's going to be the most problematic. And just look how fast the softs wore off there, especially that left front tyre. Is he back onto the softs? No, he's onto the hard tyre compound now. And that's exactly what the 2nd place driver is on as well. Again, look at Ray's tyre. It's very, very interesting that right rear, basically no degradation on that tyre whatsoever, but the left front, the right front as well is wearing down, but not to the halfway point. The left rear also pretty worn, but again, not as bad as that left front. You can see the difference in degradation between the medium and the softs. Not even halfway through there for RKV. And then what about the hards? Well, the hards, there's barely any degradation there at all. So maybe it was wise to start on the harder tyre compound. Of course, that means the Wildest Monk will come into the pit lane later compared to everybody else to do a tyre change, which he will do at some point before the end of this 30-minute race, because we've just elapsed around 7 minutes of racing here. There's 23 minutes left to go on the clock for Race 4 Gaming, the Wildest Monk and RKV, who are your top three. Supervito into the pit lane on the softs. Bukaran has lost a lot of fuel there. Half tank gone already. Has to burn up a lot of that in the opening stages to climb his way up the order. Race leader, though, seems to be pretty light-footed, though, on those softs, but he's going to have to come in soon enough, or that left front tyre is going to be basically useless. It's going to give him no grip whatsoever. And it appears that is the tyre that gets used up the most here around the Circuit de Catalunya in the heart of Spain. If you're just joining us, welcome to round 4 of Sim Nation India, Mami Aglia. This one is Tuner Central, one car for all. However, they are free to tune up the car as much as possible. No nitrous oxide. However, they are able to tune the car as much as they can. We've already seen some interesting setups. A lot of cars have lower front end compared to the rear of the car, which gives us that pronounced stance there at the back. Tyre compounds in use here, softs, hards, and of course mediums. A mix at the start there, but a lot of drivers choosing the soft at the very beginning. Now I wonder when Reyes is going to come in and do a tyre change. I think he's going to have to do it one more lap on these tyres, and he's going to have to come in, or else he's just going to fall right down the order now. He's got a 3.4 second gap between himself and second place, the Wildest Monk, who is under pressure from RKV at the moment. And you can see the hard compound, a lot less wear and tear on them, that's for sure. But of course, he will lose ground to the race leader, who's the stickier tyre on him at the moment. Seems to be our top three, all on different compounds. Race leader on softs, second place on hards, the Wildest Monk, of course, RKV on the medium compound. And it seems to be the hards are the slowest, although he's sort of on pace with RKV. And is, of course, keeping the two in check. Not losing heaps of time, though, to the race leader of Reyes here. And that left front tyre is almost completely gone after setting a wildly fast 1:41.978 on the third lap. We're on lap number 6 at the moment, and he's picked up a penalty. I wonder if that's for track limits. He was pretty wide there through the previous corners. And he's going to want to slow down and serve that as soon as he can. But more importantly, will he come into the pit lane this time? What will Reyes do? I think he may come into the pit lane. He's going to have to. One more lap on these tyres, and he's going to do another. No, he's not. He's dived straight into the pit lane for a tyre change. That means the Wildest Monk will go into the race lead. And of course, for RKV, that means he's battling now, not for second anymore. He's battling for the top step of the podium here. These two will come in a lot later. The Wildest Monk will come in later of the two as well, because he's on that hard compound. The gap between them, though, 0.5 of a second separating these two, as we're on lap number 7 here. Of this 30-minute race, we've successfully completed 1/3 of the race so far. So we fast approach 11 minutes remaining on the clock. So the softs were able to last about 6 laps. I think the mediums will last about 8 to 9, and the hards will last anywhere between, I think, 10 and 11 laps. As you see, the hards there have only just gone down to about halfway on that left front. Barely any degradation at all there on the right rear. As the Wildest Monk retakes the lead. And RKV there, keeping him at bay there and keeping him honest as well. Wants that lead back. As Agvia Our pole sitter back inside the top 3. The Ancient Pleb closing in. He also started on the hard compound as well. Making his way now through Sector 3. He's a little bit further back. He's 4.5 seconds adrift from RKV. 5.4 seconds off the race leader, but more importantly, 10.6 seconds up the road from Vidvia. As into the pit lane comes RKV. I think it was actually more of a fuel game rather than a tyre game there for him. Down to 11% of the fuel tank remaining. The race leader got less than a quarter of a tank remaining as RKV now tumbles down the order. Raves was the first of the leaders to come in. He's down into 7th position. And Via will top up his tank of fuel. I wonder what tyre he'll go on to. He goes on to the softs now. And interestingly enough, he only took 50% of his tank on to put a total of 60% into his fuel tank there. So going for a lighter load is OKV. Looking to get the most out of that first stop that he's done. So it'll definitely be a 2-stopper for him. He'll be coming in the 15-minute mark. Oh, it'll be a long way to go on those softs. It might be possible, but he'll have to be very, very careful. He'll have to be very light on that accelerator to ensure that they survive, because they only survived 6 laps. I think it was just about 10-ish minutes. I think close to the 9-minute mark they lasted for. But as we've successfully completed... Ooh, that is interesting. The Wildest Monk has come in a lot earlier than we expected him to come in. So the race leader is in. The Ancient Pleb is in as well. So 2 of the hard compound tyre drivers have come in. Will Vidvia come in the pit lane as well? No, he won't. He'll stay out, so he'll take the lead. Oh, no, he doesn't. He goes in the pit lane as well. Phantom Shadow will take the lead here around the Circuit de Catalunya, and he's going to really push the hard compound to that 15-minute mark. And that left front is going to feel absolutely awful. Vidvia came in with no petrol whatsoever. Phantom Shadow is essentially running on fumes as well. Will he be able to do an entire lap here around the Circuit de Catalunya? Now this makes things very interesting. Not only do we have the tyre game, we have the fuel game as well. Vidvia came in with basically no fuel there at the line. Oh, this is going to be very close here for Phantom Shadow. Remember, he is the current overall leader as well here. Sim Nation India, Miglia. And he's getting dangerously close here. He's been running on the fumes through this 3rd sector. Cheesy has just under half a tank. RKV also half a tank, but remember he came in and he only took he's only got a 60% fuel load when he left the pit lane. Here we go into Sector 3. He's going to have to come in now no matter what. There's no way Phantom Shadow will be able to do what he did on the dirt and extend his lead like that. He's going to have to come in this time round. RKV, though, will retake the lead. It's a good thing this right-hander here is downhill. He can sort of coast his way into the pit lane. Doesn't sound like he's coasting at all, though. Full throttle into the pit lane as Shadow goes in. So RKV will be the race leader here. Now remember, he took on 50% of his fuel load, so he's only at 60%, so he'll definitely have to come in as Phantom Shadow drops down the order. KV there on the softs. He can be a little cautious on those tyres, try and save them as much as he can. Cheesy currently circulating in 2nd overall, using up a lot of that hard compound tyre at the moment. At Race 4 Gaming here. He's on the hards now at the moment as well. So he's already come in and done a pit stop. He'll have to slow down though at some point with that 0.5 of a second penalty looming over his head. As we've successfully elapsed half race distance already of this 30-minute race here. As Cheesy now has to keep Race 4 at bay, along with the Wildest Monk as well, as they sniff an opportunity here to work their way through. But Race 4 is going to be forced to slow down at the next penalty line, which is halfway down the back straightaway. And he's actually slowing down now, but I think that's a forced slow down. And indeed, there he is. There's the brakes that are applied, and he loses that 0.5 of a second. Penalty, that is, but he also loses time, or does he? As he's on the inside of the Wildest Monk there. Oh, was that a forced mistake there from the front bumper of the Wildest Monk to the back of Cheesy? That certainly did look like a push and a shove. The stewards will having a look at that for sure, but that certainly did not look like an unforced error. That certainly did look forced. And devastating there for Cheesy, drops him down to 5th at the line. But he's going to have to come in about 4 or 5 laps time if he wants to stay in the race. Hershey's 20 just behind. Race 4 all over the back of the Wildest Monk now. 0.4 of a second is the gap between the two of them. So no change between these two. Still circulating together are the Wildest Monk and Race 4 Gaming. Of course, teammates here as well. Both racing for Sea Rays Monk Racing. The two working quite well together here. Although it was very dicey between the two not too long ago. Trying to keep the ancient plebs at bay as well is Race 4 Gaming. Of course, Ancient Player racing for AV Racing. His teammate Vidvir a little bit further down the order, down in 8th position. But these two teammates here working well together now on their similar strategies. Well, they're both on the hard tyre compound. The Wildest Monk has a bit more fuel compared to Ray's. Now, I think Ray's came in earlier. That might be why he has less fuel on board. He came in on lap 6. And, well, the Ancient Pleb came in on lap 8. That's not what we want to see there. We want to see the Wildest Monk came in on lap 8 as well. So, yes, a 2-lap difference there between the two teammates. As Agvia continues to stretch his lead, but he's going to have to come in soon enough. Well, yeah, he has. He's going to have to come in within the next 2 laps because he's got less than a quarter of fuel left on board. And again, this the speed of the fuel being consumed makes things interesting as well, because you might not be using up all of the tyres, but you might be using up more of that fuel. So RKV will have to come in this time round, I think. 13.4 seconds is the gap between himself and the Wildest Monk. Now, will he be the first driver to do a second penalty here? I think he will. Second pit stop, excuse me, not second penalty. Second pit stop there, as he's a little slower there. I think he's trying to save up those tyres. But I don't think I think he could push to the entrance of the pit lane here, can RKV. Quickest lap for him, though, 1:41.230. Big push there from him 2 laps ago, as he will dive to the right-hand side now, will he? He does indeed. So RKV will come into the pit lane, 13.4 seconds advantage. How far back is the Wildest Monk? Well, he's 13.4 seconds, isn't he? Because he's gone through the penultimate corner. And he will take the lead from RKV. Now, I wonder what compound RKV will go on to. We'll have a look. I have a feeling he'll go on to the hards, though. I think he used the medium at the beginning. We'll definitely go on to the hard compound tyres. We'll put as much fuel as he can in to go to the end of this race, which is in just over 8 minutes time here around the Circuit de Catalunya. He does indeed go on the hard, and he's taken 83% of his fuel on board. So not gone all the way. So the car is lighter than it would be if he went for 100% of his fuel tank. Now the Wildest Monk, I have a feeling, might be able to go all the way to the end of the race here, actually. There certainly is enough tyre left on the car. There's certainly enough fuel left in the car as well. But he's under pressure, though, from the Ancient Pleb here, who's found a way past his teammate. And by his teammate, I mean the teammate for the Wildest Monk. There's the Ancient Pleb there with the hard compound tyre as well, halfway on the fuel gauge. I think he'll be able to go to the end of the race as well. For Ray's, though, I think it might be a little tricky, though, to go to the end of the race. I think he might have to do a splash and dash before the end of the race. But let's see what he can do. As Phantom Shadow up into 4th position, he's definitely going to have to come in with that left front tyre, looking very, very worn out. Behind him, RKV, who's picked up a penalty, forced to slow down there in the background, but he's got a fresh set of rubber on his on all 4 corners. And he'll be pushing nice and hard here. He'll be good to go to the end. But what can he do, though, here in the closing stages in these last 7 minutes of the race? Well, first of all, he's got to close up a gap of 4.3 seconds, and then he has to close up another gap of 23 seconds to the race leader, which will come down soon enough. Vidvia currently circulating in 6th position. I think he might be good to go to the end of the race as well. Hershey's 20 seems good to go as well, circulating in 7th position with his teammate Cheesy behind him, who, well, might be cutting a bit close there on fuel. But as long as he's light through a couple of the corners and coasts his way down from the penultimate corner down to the final corner, he should be okay. Super Vito and his teammate Bukaran at the tail end of the field, about a minute or so behind the race leader. Good to go to the end of the race as well. They're on the hard compound tyre, but Bukaran will have to come in and he'll have to change his tyres soon enough, as that left front on the medium really worn out here, and he's going to go one more lap around the track here on those worn out tyres on the front. And you can just see he's losing a lot of time there to the car that's in front of him. Now, is that a battle that we have for the lead of the race? Yes, it is. The Wildest Monk now under pressure from the Ancient Pleb. The gap is 0.2 of a second at the line. The Ancient Pleb almost finds a way through on the inside. And he's looking for each and every opportunity that he can find to sneak up through. Try and force an error. As he dares, they'll go across the line, line astern. 0.1 of a second at the line. The Ancient Pleb's picked up the toe. They're going to go side by side down towards the first corner here on lap number 15. The Ancient Pleb takes the lead. Through down into the first corner we go. So the Wildest Monk dropped down to second, but he gets the crossover. Through back into the lead goes the Wildest Monk through turn 2. Great connection there for the two, as the Ancient Pleb looking again on the inside. Can't quite make it, so the Wildest Monk goes back into the lead of the race here ahead of the Ancient Pleb. But the Ancient Pleb won't give up that easily. He's going to fight tooth and nail for this position. And race 4, of course, the teammate to the Wildest Monk, lurking in the background. I'm sure the Wildest Monk is trying to message race 4 as much as possible, saying, please, I need your help here. Attack, attack, attack. But the Wildest Monk there keeping at bay, but of course the Ancient Pleb keeping it honest here as well. Any slight mistake and through will go the Ancient Pleb. And Ray's just biding his time again. On the outside this time, the Ancient Pleb looks. But that's not where he's going to get it. As he gets the undercut done, does he do it? Almost. They're going to go side by side through the corner, not quite. As the Ancient Pleb drops back into second place here. He'll be using up a lot of his car, fuel and tyres. Less than 4 minutes though on the clock, made that 3.5 minutes on the clock here for the Ancient Pleb and the Wildest Monk to sort this out. And of course, if anything were to happen, Raise 4 Gaming will be the one to capitalise completely here. He'll be the one to take the victory away from his teammate and of course his rival as well on the road. The Ancient Pleb a little bit further back to try and go on the inside. You see Bukaran there going out of the pit lane. I don't think he could have done another lap on those medium compound tyres. Now, of course, this could play in the hands of both the Wildest Monk and the Ancient Pleb. As again on the inside looks the Ancient Pleb. Was that a little tap there we saw? On the left rear of the Wildest Monk, they go side by side. And the Ancient Pleb will have the inside line late on the brakes as the Wildest Monk sees an opportunity and dives to the inside. As the blue flags waves to Bukaran to inform him that the race leaders are coming. You need to move out of the way. The Ancient Pleb leads from the Wildest Monk, so he's taken that position away, and it's 0.3 of a second now is the gap between the two of them. Make that 0.2 of a second between these two, as this fight will go all the way down to the wire. The Ancient Pleb and the Wildest Monk battling it out here, and look how close Monk is to the back of Pleb as they work their way down the back straight here for the 16th time here in Gran Turismo 7. Looking again on the inside, but the Ancient Pleb shuts the door on Monk. Up through the chicane they go now into the third sector for the 16th time. The Wildest Monk though losing some valuable time there to Ancient Pleb as they work their way through the penultimate corner, and it seems to be the Ancient Pleb is now starting to get away here from the Wildest Monk. On the hards now, who has less degradation? Well, looks like the Ancient Pleb's got better tyres so far. I think he might have... Oh, they got a similar fuel load though, the two. But the Ancient Pleb has the fresh tyres, in quotation marks, literally fractions more, as the Wildest Monk there late on the brakes. So really slow down, then he missed the corner as well. He's definitely going to have to slow down, and that's going to cost him dearly as well, and it certainly has. 1.5 seconds is the gap to himself and the Ancient Pleb. So the Ancient Pleb back into the lead of the race here. The Wildest Monk in second after that fantastic 2-lap battle there for the lead of the race between the two. And then Race 4 Gaming, the teammate to the Wildest Monk, circulating in third. He's actually dropped back quite a fair bit as well. He's 5.6 seconds away from his teammate. KV there. In fourth, he has the fastest lap, which is set on lap number 10. He's got his teammate behind him, Phantom Shadow 07. Hershey's 20, currently in sixth position. He's got a penalty that he needs to shake off before the end of the race. And Vidvia under pressure from Cheesy at the moment. 1 second is the gap separating the two here as they circulate around here for the 17th time. 30 seconds back though is Super Vidu, who is 1 minute and 11 seconds away from the Ancient Pleb, and Bukaran, who is actually just in front of the race leaders, but he's got a nice fresh set of soft rubber on each corner. That's how he's been able to stay ahead. But the Ancient Pleb comes through the final corner here for the final time, almost loses it. He's got very loose to the final corners there, and he's picked up a 1.5 second penalty at the line. But he still had 3 seconds on him over the Wildest Monk. Race 4 Gaming there across the line. The Ancient Pleb got it all wrong through that final corner. RKV there with the fastest lap of the race will come through in fourth. And he'll be followed by his teammate rounding out the top 5. Hershey's 20 now works his way through the penultimate corner. Down into the final corner he goes. In sixth position, a great drive there from Hershey's 20. And he'll be followed by Vidvia in seventh overall. Cheesy there across the line as well in eighth. We also see Bukaran across the line as well. Super Vidu, though, will be the last driver to come across the line and collect the checkered flag. Of course, Bukaran took it because, of course, we elapsed 30 minutes of racing before he got to the line. So, unfortunately, he'll finish a lap down compared to the rest of the field. Super Vidu, though, through the penultimate corner there. Him and his teammate struggling here. It seems to be they have a base setup compared to the rest of the field. They don't have that massive spoiler. Well, Bucaran does, but Super Miglia did not. But here again is the Ancient Pleb, who through the final corner almost lost it and picked up a 1.5 second penalty at the line there as well. But luckily for him, he finished 3 seconds up the road from his closest rival, and that means he will be crowned victorious there at the line. Congratulations, of course, to our top three, the Ancient Pleb, Wildest Mug, of course, Race 4 Gaming. Congratulations to all the drivers. That has been round 4 from Sim Nation India, Miglia. We'll be back next week with more racing action. Of course, another twist coming your way. What that twist will be, well, you have to find out next week. See you on the same channel at the same time. Take care and have a good one.